am 97 years old. It is not a decorative number or a badge of endurance. It is a weight. I have buried my husband, my sisters, almost all my friends. I have watched entire streets disappear, whole customs vanish, versions of the world that no longer exist, even in photographs. I have also outlived the woman I was when I believed everything could wait, when I thought life was a rough draft, and that someday I would write the final version. Today I am sitting very close to the end. I do not say this with drama, I say it with precision. From here, time looks different, and that is why I need to speak to you. I watch you live as if the clock were a courtesy and not a threat. I see you postpone, pile up excuses, treat days as if they were small coins that do not matter if they are lost. You walk with the calm of someone who believes tomorrow is guaranteed. It is not. I thought so too. Everyone thinks so until the body begins to fail, and the future shrinks until it becomes an uncomfortable word. You believe you know you are going to die, but you do not truly know it. If you did, you would not waste your hours the way you do. You would not trade life for distraction or love for habit. From where I am, it feels different. Death stops being an idea and becomes a presence. It does not shout, it does not run, it does not threaten. It simply waits, and when you know it is there, so close, everything that once seemed important loses its volume. That is why I want you to listen to me now, not later, not when it is too late. I want to tell you what I have seen in others and in myself, because the mistake you are making is not original. It is old, repeated, and devastating, and you are still in time not to make it. There was a woman named Clara. She was not famous. She did not appear in magazines. She did not leave buildings with her name on them. She was my friend for more than 30 years. She had a brilliant mind and a discipline everyone admired. She was always busy, always in a hurry, always about to reach something better. Clara lived holding on to a sentence she repeated as if it were a lifeline. When everything is in order, then I will live. She said that first you had to secure the future, that enjoyment without guarantees was irresponsible. I listened to her, and deep down I believed her. Clara had detailed plans, pages filled with dates, goals, deadlines. She said that at 60 she would leave her job, that at 62 she would travel without rushing, that at 65 she would learn to play the guitar. She always spoke of that later with enviable calm, as if it were already reserved. In the meantime, she turned down invitations, postponed meetings, said no to anything that did not fit into her productivity scheme. Her life was a constant preparation for a scenario that never showed up. One ordinary Tuesday without warning or drama, Clara collapsed in the kitchen of her home. There was no time for goodbyes or reflections. She was 59 years old. I remember standing in her living room, surrounded by neatly arranged folders, untouched notebooks, lists of things that were never done. Everything was ready for a life that would no longer be there to live it. The guitar was never bought. The trips remained as underlined titles in a notebook. The tragedy was not her death. That awaits us all. The true loss was that Clara spent her existence rehearsing as if real life began later. She treated each day as a formality, as an uncomfortable requirement to access something better. And the better thing never came. When I look at the way you organize your life, how you justify your exhaustion and your absence with future promises, I see no originality. I see Clara. I see the same mistake, repeated under different names. And it hurts because I know exactly where it leads. Over the years, I understood that most people do not live to feel alive. They live to fill themselves up. They fill houses, fill schedules, fill silences with things that weigh them down and distract them. They tell themselves they are building security, but what they are really doing is building walls. I did it too. For decades, I believed that every new object was proof that I was on the right path, that the effort was worth it. It was not ambition, I told myself. It was foresight. It was responsibility. It was a lie. Today, my world fits into a small room, a bed, a chair by the window, and a yellowed photograph that almost no longer needs a frame because I hold it in my memory. Before that, there was a big house, full closets, tableware that was only used on special occasions that almost never came. I thought all of that said something about me. Now I know it only said how much time I spent away from myself to get it. I have seen too many endings not to tell you the truth. When someone dies, things become a burden. Drawers are opened in a hurry. Objects are handled without history, without reverence. What was important for years ends up in black bags or in the hands of strangers who bargain over its price. None of that hurts the one who leaves, but it says a lot about how they lived. Everything that was accumulated with sacrifice is revealed all at once as unnecessary weight. You wonder why you are tired, why you feel that something is always missing. It is because you are trading hours of life for possessions that cannot give you your time back. You work yourself to exhaustion to sustain an image that falls apart the moment you stop. You confuse stability with confinement and success with noise. From here it is clear you are not building a life. You are stockpiling distractions, and the price is not paid at the end. It is paid every day. There was a day that for years I considered one of the most important of my life. I was given a public award for my community work. There were speeches, flowers, long applause. They seated me in the front row and pronounced my name with solemnity. I smiled, gave thanks, did what is expected in those moments. I felt proud, of course. I thought those were the kinds of things that justified the effort, the absences, the times I said later. That night, I went home alone. The award was left resting on the table, bright, immaculate, with no one to look at it with me. I prepared something simple for dinner and sat in silence. That was when I understood something I had refused to see for years. Applause does not follow you home. Recognition does not hold you. It fades quickly like a noise that disappears the moment you leave the room. What remains is the room, the tired body, and the certainty of everything that was not there with you. I lost conversations to meetings. I lost Sundays to commitments. I lost the chance to simply be present. I told myself it was necessary, that it was temporary, that later there would be time to recover. There was not. People learn to live without you when you are not there, not out of resentment, but out of adaptation. And when you realize it, you no longer know the exact moment when you stopped being part of things. You believe that what you do defines you, that your worth lies in what you produce, in what you achieve, in how you are seen from the outside. From this ending, I tell you something that is rarely said out loud. All of that is fragile and replaceable. The only thing that leaves a mark is real presence, time given without witnesses, the times you chose to stay when no one demanded it. Everything else takes up space, but it does not last. When the noise fades and the body begins to ask for mercy, a clarity appears that cannot be negotiated. I no longer review achievements or list mistakes as if they were unpaid debts. I revisit small scenes, almost invisible to anyone else. An afternoon sitting on the floor teaching someone how to tie their shoes. A long conversation without interruptions, without looking at the clock. The time I truly listened without thinking about what to say next. Those images return on their own, without effort, as if they know they are the only things that matter now. Nothing material accompanies me along this stretch. No object knows who I was or what I felt. In contrast, acts of care, words said in time, gestures that sought no recognition, those are still alive. Not because they changed the world, but because they changed someone, and that is enough. Love leaves no monuments, but it leaves a mark. It is not displayed, but it carries weight. It is the only thing that does not dissolve with the years. I spent too much time believing that life was something that could be organized like a schedule. Today I know it is more like a fragile conversation that can be interrupted at any moment. If you do not say what matters when you can, there will not always be another chance. If you are not present when you are needed, the moment does not repeat itself. This understanding comes late for many. It came to me with brutal clarity, and that is why I do not want to keep it quiet. Everything that truly matters happens far from applause and hurry. It happens when you choose someone over something, when you stay even if it is uncomfortable, when you give without calculating the return. That is what remains when everything falls. And from here, where there is nothing left to prove, I assure you there is no other measure of a life well lived. Now that the margin is minimal and tomorrow is no longer taken for granted, I understand that the greatest trap was anesthesia, not pain but habit, that way of living halfway, distracted, postponing what is essential as if it were a luxury. No one wakes up one day and decides to waste their life. It happens little by accepting empty days, neglected relationships, uncomfortable silences that become the norm. That is how time passes. That is how it is lost. If I could leave you with a single warning, it would be this. Do not live as if today were a rehearsal. Do not treat your gestures like drafts. There are things that only have value because they may be the last honest conversation, the last time you hug without hurry, the last chance to say what matters without fear of being exposed. When you understand that, life stops being automatic and becomes urgent, not desperate, but lucid. Wake up while you can still choose. While your body responds, while there are names you can dial, doors you can knock on, forgiveness that can still be offered. Do not wait for loss to teach you what time tries to tell you softly every day. Do not fall asleep in routine. Do not hide in constant busyness. Being busy is not the same as being alive. I do not promise happiness or clear answers. I promise something more honest, presence. If you live as if today mattered, you will not reach the end asking where your life went. You will arrive tired, yes, but whole. And that, from here, from this quiet edge where I stand, is as close to peace as one can get. I am tired now. It is not a sad tiredness, it is a deep one, like that of someone who has walked a long way and knows they do not need to go any farther to understand the landscape. My voice no longer has the strength it once did, but what remains to be said does not need volume. It needs attention. If you made it this far, it was not out of curiosity. It was because something in you knows that time is not infinite, even if you try to forget it. I am not speaking to you from perfect wisdom or from a life without mistakes. I am speaking from consequences, from what remains when options close and excuses no longer work. Death is not the enemy. It never was. The enemy is postponement, constant distraction, the comfortable idea that tomorrow will be a better time to live. Tomorrow does not always come. Sometimes it ends without warning. I have already done my part. I have loved, failed, learned late, and understood slowly. Now it is your turn. Do not carry everything that does not matter. Do not stay asleep while the days pass. Live in a way that does not need to be explained or defended when the silence draws near. The clock keeps running. You are still here. That is all you need to begin.